In the winter of a forgotten year, a tragedy struck without warning. A school bus, a train, and 23 souls lost in an instant. But not all stories ended that day. Recovered from the wreckage was a single object, a doll, untouched, unbroken, watching. This file documents the strange and unsettling case of Odette the Everlit, a presence said to linger between memory and shadow, bound not to the crash itself, but to something far older. Witnesses spoke of whispers, of a child seen where no child stood, of eyes that followed, even in silence. The deeper investigators looked, the more the line between tragedy and the unexplainable began to blur. What you're about to see is not just a case file, it is a doorway. Proceed with awareness. This true case file contains the death of children, and may not be suitable for some viewers. Welcome to the true case file of Odette the Everlit, case file number OE44413. This object is a vessel, passive collector, entity threat level, moderate, attachment following soul collector. I am for wins. Now let us begin. Some objects are forgotten with time, left to decay, to fade. But others, they are remembered. Not because we choose to remember them, but because they refuse to let us forget. She has many names. Odette the Everlit, the lantern of souls, the vessel of flickering light. But none of those names explain what she is, only what gathers around her. Antique composition doll. Estimated 1930s. Worn fabric body, aging lace garments, and a face that feels too aware. She was not found alone. She never is. The first signs are always the same. Lights, small, floating, almost delicate. They move without purpose. Until you watch them long enough, then you realize they are not wandering. They are orbiting. They circle her like insects to a lantern, like something drawn to warmth that no longer exists. And when the lights gather, they are no longer alone. Witnesses call them the white-eyed children, not quite figures, not quite shadows, something unfinished. Their forms blur at the edges like memories struggling to hold shape. But their eyes remain bright, reflective, unblinking. They don't speak, they don't move quickly, they don't need to, because once you see them, you've already been seen. Those exposed report dreams, not their own. Voices, too soft to understand. And a feeling that something followed them home. But Odette didn't begin as this. She became this. And to understand how, we have to go back to that tragic day. Salt Lake City, Utah, December 3rd, 1938. Morning came quietly, too quietly. Snow fell thick and heavy, absorbing sound, smothering distance, turning the world into something smaller. something harder to escape. A school bus carried children through that silence. Laughter, sleepy voices, the ordinary weight of a morning that should have meant nothing. At the crossing, the bus driver had stopped to look for a train. At 8:43 a.m., but a blizzard with fierce winds caused almost zero visibility and prevented the driver from seeing the northbound Denver and Rio Grande Western train that hit the bus as it crossed the tracks. What the bus driver didn't see was the 80-plus car flying U train approaching at over 50 miles per hour. The bus was slowly moving forward across the tracks when the speeding train tore into the side of the bus. The driver, Farrell Silcox, and 23 of the students were killed that day, and the accident remains the worst school bus train crash in U.S. history. The 15 survivors faced a lifetime of serious physical injuries and emotional scars. In the wake of the horrific crash, national regulations for the installation of mechanical crossing arms and other national railroad crossing regulations were implemented that are still in place today. One of those regulations was the mandatory requirement for bus drivers to not only stop at railroad crossings, but also to open their door and driver's side window to look and listen for oncoming trains. And at some point, the legend was born out of that headline in the San Antonio Express News. He kept her on a small table by the window, where the light from the tracks could reach her. Thin, gray daylight cut through with the shadow of passing trains.
She was already here when I found and bought the place,
he said, standing too far back, hands in his pockets.
I don't keep her in the dark. I don't want to leave her alone. The train tracks are closer than what I thought.
Every few minutes, the ground gave a low warning tremor, like something breathing beneath the floorboards. When the train finally came through, it screamed past the window so violently it rattled the glass and made the doll's dress flutter just slightly. The photo fell then. Light as it was, the missing frame offering no weight to hold it in place. It slipped from the table and landed face down on the floor.
I threw it out when I first found it, almost as an afterthought. I bent to pick it up for a moment, just a moment. I hesitated before turning it over, like something in me already knew I shouldn't look again, but I did. The girl stared back up at me, but something about the eyes felt wrong. Behind me, the house creaked, not settling, breathing.
He let me take the doll away from that place like he wanted it gone, to be honest. That very night, I had a nightmare. Not as they were, but as they had been. Snow fell in slow, heavy silence. The track stretched endlessly in both directions, dark lines cutting through the snow like something carved into the earth. There was a fog rolling low along the ground, thick enough to swallow the distance, thin enough that I could still see shapes moving inside it. Lights, small at first, scattered, like lightning bugs waking up in winter. They hovered just above the snow, pulsing faintly soft, rhythmic, almost like breathing. I found myself stepping toward them without thinking, my boots making no sound as they pressed into the snow. The lights drifted back, not fleeing, leading, so I followed. There was something wrong with the silence. No wind, no distant hum of the world, just that heavy, suffocating quiet end beneath it. The metal rails shivered, a long, trembling warning. A train was coming. I turned, suddenly aware of where I was standing. I was too close, yet my body didn't move away. The lights had gathered now. More of them, dozens. They circled slowly, rising from the snow, drifting higher, closer. Their glow strengthened just enough to illuminate shapes behind them, small shapes, standing along the tracks, waiting. The fog thinned just enough for me to see glowing eyes. Children, their forms were blurred, indistinct, like something half remembered, but their eyes caught the growing light, white, reflective. They shone like animals frozen in headlights. The sound hit before the train did. A distant roar, tearing through the silence, building too fast, too loud. The ground shook violently now, the rails screaming as something massive tore through the fog. I tried to move. I couldn't. The lights surged upward, swirling around me in a slow spiral, brushing past my face, my hands close enough to feel their faint warmth, like breath. The children didn't run, they didn't react. They just stood there, watching the train burst through the fog in a violent rush of metal and noise, and then that single, blinding moment before impact. Every one of them turned their heads toward me, woke up gasping. The silence came with me. The room was dark. My heart hammered against my ribs as I pushed myself upright, trying to shake the dream from my skin. That's when I began to notice them. The lights, not outside. They moved slowly, deliberately, like they were aware of the space around them. Aware of me. I didn't move, didn't breathe. One of them dipped lower, floating down toward the dresser. Toward her. Odette sat exactly where I had left her, toward the window. Something moved behind me. At first, I thought it was just the shifting light, but then a shape, small. Standing just beyond the dresser, where the wall met shadow, another flicker. Another shape. More. They weren't fully there. Not like in the dream, but I could see enough. Childlike forms, barely separated from the dark. Their edges soft and wavering. Their eyes caught the faint light and reflected it. White, bright, and watching me. She was the center of something, a quiet gravity, a still point. Everything else circled, not one of them blinked. She isn't collecting them. She never was. They come to her for safety, because they recognize something in her. I wanted it gone immediately after this experience. In quiet rooms where shadows sit, a fragile glow, the Everlit. Not flame, not breath, not truly alive. Yet something there continues to survive. They drift like dust in frozen air, but always there. Small wandering lights with nowhere to go, drawn to a warmth they no longer know. And in her gaze, so still, so deep, she gathers those who cannot sleep, not take in. No chains, no silent cries, just endless reflection in borrowed eyes. So if you pass where the cold lights gleam and feel that pull, like half a dream, do not follow, do not stay. Some lights don't lead you back, they take you away. The house where the object was originally recovered stood dangerously close to an active rail line, one known for its history of fatal accidents. Over time, the location has been distorted, retold, and misplaced as the story spread and was reshaped into legend. It existed near the documented site of the tragedy itself. Every effort has been made to preserve the accuracy of this account unaltered. Odette is no longer where she was found. never in the dark. The lights still gather, the air still shifts, and sometimes it feels like something is standing just beyond where I'm looking. I document everything, every movement, every change, because whatever she is not finished. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. Until then, remember, some things aren't meant to be kept, only watched. If this story found you, it may not be finished with you. Something may have noticed that you noticed. If you feel it linger, don't ignore it. Like, share, subscribe, and remember, some things don't follow you home. They wait until you realize you were never alone to begin with. Thank you for joining me here tonight. I am Four Winds. Many blessings and good night.
I am little, so it's easy to forget me. I am quiet, so you might forget I'm here. I don't wanna feel alone, I can't do it on my own, so take me with you. Oh, I long to be clean and free. I see the others feel the same. Why do you act like I don't exist? I hope